The night sky was calm, filled with stars. Families were sleeping, cities glowing, oceans silent. But then, the stars moved. At first, people thought it was just satellites, maybe meteor showers. But within minutes, every telescope, every radar, every human eye saw the truth. They were not stars. They were ships. Massive warships, dark shapes blocking the heavens, sirens screamed in every city, phones buzzed, screens lit up, governments called emergency meetings. The world froze as the first images came. The ships were alien, shaped like knives, glowing with strange light. The Empire had arrived without a word, without a warning. The attack began. Beams of fire cut through the sky. One ship over New York unleashed a storm, burning towers in seconds. Another hovered over Tokyo, sending energy bolts that shattered glass for miles across the oceans. Whole fleets rose from the water trying to fight, but human missiles exploded against invisible shields. The aliens laughed, their voices carried on strange signals. They told Earth to kneel. They told humans they had no chance. Panic spread. Millions ran through streets, searching for shelter. Mothers cried as they held their children. Fathers shouted as buildings fell. In one night, the Earth felt small, weak, helpless, but not broken. In the silence of bunkers, world leaders argued. Some wanted surrender, believing survival was the only choice. Others demanded resistance, shouting that humanity had never bowed before. But outside those rooms, ordinary people made their own decisions. Firefighters pulled strangers from ruins. Doctors treated the wounded in dark hospitals with no power. Soldiers who had no orders stood their ground in ruined streets. It was not organized, it was not planned, but it was human. The Empire expected fear, they expected humans to fall on their knees. Instead, they saw something different. Even as ships burned, humans fought back. In Paris, a pilot flew an old fighter jet straight into an alien drone, destroying both. In Brazil, villagers trapped alien scouts with fire and rope. In Africa, entire towns vanished underground into ancient caves, refusing capture. The Empire thought Earth was just a backwater world. Now they began to whisper, why do these people resist? High above the clouds, one alien commander watched through a crystal screen. He saw humans shooting rifles at armored machines. He saw a boy throw a rock at a drone before being pulled into safety. The commander frowned. This world is different, he hissed, but his officers laughed. They are nothing, they will break soon, they said. The commander was not so sure. Meanwhile, across Earth, secret doors opened, bunkers hidden under mountains lit up. Machines that had never been used before roared to life. For years, governments had feared a day like this. For years, scientists had studied strange metal from crashed ships. Now, as the sky burned, those secrets came alive. Railguns loaded, drones awakened, and humanity whispered to itself, we are not done yet. Still, the fear was real. In one small house in Chicago, a family huddled in the basement. The little girl asked her father, Daddy, are we going to die? The man hugged her tight, his face pale but his voice firm. Not today, he said. Outside, the city was burning, but inside, hope was still alive. Across the planet, millions shared that same fire. Yes, the sky was falling. Yes, the earth was burning. But humanity had faced darkness before. They had survived plagues, wars, disasters. Now they faced the greatest threat of all, and still, something inside them refused to surrender. The Empire thought they had won already, but they were wrong. They did not understand what it meant to be human. They did not understand the fury that came when someone tried to take Earth. As the night stretched into morning, the smoke over cities glowed red. People looked up at the burning sky, and in those flames, they did not see the end. They saw the beginning of humanity's fight, the beginning of the Empire's mistake, the beginning of a story that would decide the fate of not just Earth but the entire galaxy. The sky was on fire. But beneath that fire, hearts were burning brighter, and that was something the Empire had never expected. The first day was fire. The second day was ash. Cities that once glowed with life now stood in ruins. New York was a blackened shell, Tokyo's skyline broken, London's streets choked with smoke. Millions were gone, countless more trapped under rubble. The empires. Warships hovered above, cold and untouchable, like gods watching ants. They thought Earth was finished. They thought humans would beg. But in the ruins, something stirred. A stubbornness, a fire that no beam of light could burn away. In the ruins of Paris, smoke covered. The river alien patrols marched armored and armed, scanning every corner. They laughed at the sight of broken buildings, but then from the shadows a sound cracked. A rifle shot. An alien soldier fell. The others turned in shock. They saw nothing but shattered glass, burning cars, and silence. Humans were hiding. Yes, but they were also striking back. In Mexico City, mothers carried children through collapsed streets. They passed burned markets and silent churches. Above them, a drone floated, scanning with red light. But before it could fire, a group of boys on rooftops pulled cables tight. The drone crashed to the ground, sparks flying. The boys vanished into alleys, their laughter echoing through smoke. Even children were refusing to surrender. In Africa, in the Sahara, whole tribes vanished. The aliens sent scouts into the sand. They never returned. The desert swallowed them, and at night human fires glowed on dunes, invisible to alien eyes. It was said that the desert itself fought for Earth. The empire struck harder. They leveled buildings, burned forests, even poisoned rivers. But the more they destroyed, the more humans fought. In Brazil, villagers armed with hunting rifles ambushed. An alien supply truck in Canada, engineers turned mining machines into weapons, tearing alien armor apart. In Australia, survivors used tunnels once made for trains to move unseen. Everywhere, humans adapted. The alien commanders grew restless. "This world is stubborn," one said, staring at a map filled with resistance marks. "They should be broken by now," another hissed. But Earth was not like other worlds. Humans did not know how to bow. They only knew how to endure. In the underground shelters of Moscow, survivors gathered. Old men told stories to children about past wars. They spoke of times when the Earth burned before. "When fire rained, we rebuilt," an elder said, his voice steady. "When enemies came, we pushed them back." The children listened, their eyes wide. Even in despair, they were learning courage. Meanwhile, soldiers without orders became leaders. In Berlin, a captain with no army left found 100 survivors. He taught them how to fight in streets. He turned shopkeepers into snipers, bakers into scouts. He told them, "We may fall, but we will not kneel." And they believed him. In every broken city, such voices rose, voices that turned fear into defiance. One night, in the ruins of Chicago, an alien squad moved through empty streets. They mocked the silence, saying the humans had all run away. But then the ground exploded under them, a hidden bomb made from car fuel and nails. The squad was torn apart. From the shadows, survivors whispered, "This is our home." The empire began to learn. Every street, every ruin was dangerous. The news spread, carried by old radios, hidden networks, even whispers between refugees. "Humans are fighting back." Our people said, "Do not give up." They told each other. Every story of defiance became a flame, and that flame refused to die. In the high orbit above Earth, one alien commander stared at the planet. He saw cities burning, but also saw humans. Still standing, he clenched his claws and hissed, "They do not know when to quit." Another officer laughed, "Then we will burn them all." But the commander's eyes narrowed. He wondered if the Empire had made a mistake. Back on Earth, hope grew in small places. In a hospital with no power, a nurse lit candles to treat the wounded. In a basement, a man shared his last piece of bread with strangers. In a broken school, children drew pictures of Earth winning. Tiny acts of courage, tiny acts of kindness. But together they formed something unbreakable. Yes, the cities were broken. Yes, the world was scarred, but the will of humanity stood tall. The Empire could burn every building, but they could not burn what was inside human hearts. The fire in the sky was terrifying. The rubble on the ground was endless. But in the ashes, humanity's spirit only grew stronger. The Empire thought they were crushing Earth, but in truth, they were creating something new. They were creating a defiance so powerful it would echo through the galaxy. Cities were broken, but the will was unbroken, and that was the beginning of the Empire's downfall. Beneath the ruins of Earth, far below the broken cities, tunnels hummed with secret life. For years, humanity had prepared in silence, not because they knew the Empire would come, but because they feared someone, someday would. And when the sky burned, those secrets awakened. In the Rocky Mountains, a steel door opened for the first time in 50 years. Inside, long corridors stretched, filled with machines covered in dust. Soldiers moved through the halls, pulling away tarps, activating consoles. The air shook as enormous railguns powered up, their barrels gleaming. They had been built from alien wreckage, from pieces fallen decades ago, pieces no one outside Earth knew had been found. In Siberia, frozen caves hid laboratories. Scientists had lived like ghosts, their work hidden from the world above. Now their creations came alive. Drones shaped like hawks, wings shining with stolen alien tech. They rose into the sky. Silent. Hunters, their eyes burning red one by one, they locked onto Empire patrols, striking fast, vanishing again. The aliens above thought humans were finished. They did not know Earth had teeth beneath the soil. Far below London, under the old subway tunnels, engineers had crafted something stranger. A weapon that looked like a sphere of black glass. It pulsed with energy stolen from experiments humans should never have touched. But desperate times had no rules. As alien ships hovered above, the sphere lit up, sending a pulse through the sky. For a brief moment, alien shields flickered and humanity saw what they had hoped for. The Empire was not untouchable. In the deserts of Nevada, deep under an abandoned airfield, a hidden base stirred. Pilots climbed into ships that had never flown before. They were human designs, but with alien cores, engines that bent light, weapons that could pierce the strongest armor. The first squadron launched into the night sky. The pilots whispered to each other. For Earth, above them, alien drones fell one by one, surprised by weapons they had never seen. The Empire's commanders began to notice. Reports came in, patrols missing, drones destroyed, shields failing. This world is more dangerous than we thought, one growled. They should not have such weapons, another hissed. But they did, because humans had always been scavengers, always been builders. Give them broken metal, they made blades. Give them alien scraps, they made war machines. Meanwhile, in bunkers across the planet, scientists debated, "Do we reveal everything now?" One asked, his hands shaking over a console. "If we wait too long, we lose Earth," another replied. But an old woman, a physicist who had worked in secret all her life, whispered, "No, we show them piece by piece. Make them think we are weaker than we are, and then we strike where it hurts most." The others nodded. Her plan was dangerous, but it was human. It was cunning. Above ground, survivors noticed strange changes. At night, lights glowed in mountains. Strange shapes. Flying through skies, people whispered of Earth's hidden guardians. Rumors spread like wildfire. The governments had secrets, some said they were waiting for this day. Others believed hope returned, not because of what they had seen, but because they believed humanity still had cards to play. In one ruined city, a small group of rebels stumbled into a collapsed subway tunnel. They expected only darkness and dust. Instead, they found a hidden door, marked with warnings in languages they could not read. When the door opened, soldiers pulled them inside. The rebels gasped as they saw halls filled with machines, weapons, and glowing maps. "You thought you were alone?" a soldier asked, smiling. "Earth never fights alone." The Empire tightened its grip. More ships, more fire, more terror. But each strike revealed more of Earth's hidden hand. A railgun in Siberia destroyed a cruiser. A swarm of drones in Asia tore apart alien patrols. A pulse weapon in Europe cracked open shields. Every day, the Empire grew more uneasy. They had crushed dozens of worlds before. None had fought like this. None had bled them like this. In orbit, one commander slammed, his fist against the console. "This is impossible, they are primitives," he roared. But another older alien shook his head. "They are not primitives, they are predators," he said quietly. "Corner a predator, and you learn its true nature." On Earth, the secrets continued to rise, each hidden weapon a whisper from the past, each new strike a promise of what was coming. Humanity was no longer just surviving. They were preparing not just to resist, but to decide the future. The ground was cracked, the cities broken, but beneath the earth, in silence and steel, a storm was building. And when it finally rose, the galaxy would never forget the name of the species that unleashed it. The Empire thought Earth was weak, but the truth was clear now. Earth was waiting, and soon, Earth would strike. The Empire believed they were still in control. Their fleets orbited Earth like vultures, their commanders arrogant, but deep inside hidden bases, human voices spoke in whispers. It was time to test the secret weapons. It was time for Earth to strike back. The first target was chosen carefully, not the largest enemy fleet, not the strongest fortress, but a patrol group near the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. 5 alien warships, confident and careless. They thought no one would dare face them. They were wrong. From Earth's dark side, a small human fleet emerged, rusty old ships repaired in secret, new prototypes armed with stolen alien cores. They looked fragile compared to the Empire's giants. But inside those cockpits, human pilots sat with steel in their hearts. They had one mission: prove to the galaxy that humanity could win. Commander Reyes, a scarred veteran, led the fleet. His voice echoed through the comms, steady and calm. "Remember," he said, "we don't fight like them. We fight like us." Every pilot nodded. Every soldier knew what that meant. Cunning, patience, and the will to risk everything. The Empire ships floated lazily, scanning space. They laughed at the sight of small human vessels approaching. "Primitives," one alien officer sneered. "They bring knives to fight thunder." But then the trap began. The humans darted into the asteroid field. The Empire followed, confident they would crush them. But the asteroids were no graveyard. They were weapons. Reyes had studied every rock, every orbit. His fleet lured the aliens deeper, and then the mines hidden in the asteroids came alive. Explosions ripped through the void. An Empire cruiser was torn apart, chunks of metal spinning into darkness. The aliens shouted in confusion. "They are using the rocks themselves," one cried. Another ship fired wildly, but the asteroids deflected its blasts. Humans knew the terrain. Humans had set the trap. And for the first time, the Empire was bleeding. But the battle was not over. One human prototype ship sped forward, its railgun glowing. Pilot Sato clenched her teeth, aimed at the enemy flagship. She whispered, "For Tokyo," and fired. The railgun tore through space, a spear of light. It pierced the flagship's shield. Ripping through its hull, the ship exploded in silence, fire blooming across the stars. The humans cheered, but Reyes' voice cut through. "Don't celebrate yet. We're not done." The remaining Empire ships regrouped, furious. They charged, firing beams that sliced asteroids apart. One human ship was destroyed instantly. Another crippled. Screams filled the comms, but humans did not break. They turned desperation into weapons. One damaged ship, leaking air, spun toward an enemy cruiser. The pilot's voice was steady as he said goodbye. He rammed into the cruiser, detonating his core. Both ships vanished in a blinding flash. The sacrifice shocked even the aliens. Who were these humans that fought like this? As the battle raged, Reyes gave the final command. "Now show them who we are." Hidden drones, released earlier, swarmed the last enemy ship. Tiny, fragile machines compared to alien armor, but they struck with precision, cutting wires, jamming signals, burning engines. The great warship stalled, drifting helpless, and the humans surrounded it, weapons locked. For the first time, an Empire ship surrendered to a species they considered primitive. The humans captured its crew, its technology, its pride. The galaxy would never forget this moment, the first human victory. When the survivors returned to Earth, people wept. Not from sorrow, but from hope. News spread through radios, through whispers, through every shattered street. Humans destroyed an empire fleet, they said. Children drew pictures of ships in the sky. Soldiers lifted their heads higher. The broken cities began to believe again. In bunkers and shelters, people listened to the story of the battle, and though the losses were heavy, they did not focus on the dead. They focused on the fact that for the first time the empire had been stopped. For the first time the sky belonged to Earth, even if only for a moment. Far above, in the halls of the Empire Fleet Command, silence fell. Reports of, "The loss spread like poison. How could this happen?" An alien lord demanded. "They are primitives." But others looked uneasy. They had seen the humans fight. They had seen the humans win. And deep inside, a cold fear began to grow. On Earth, Commander Reyes stood before his tired fleet. He looked. At each face, scarred, wounded, but alive. "You fought like humans," he said simply. And every pilot understood. It was not about ships or weapons, it was about spirit. And that spirit had just shaken the galaxy. The Empire had believed the humans were weak. But now they knew the truth. This was only the beginning. Humanity had tasted victory, and they would never stop. The first human victory had come, and with it a promise whispered to the stars. "We are not your prey. We are your reckoning." The battle in the asteroid belt had ended. For the first time in history, alien warships had fallen to human hands, but victory brought more than wreckage. It brought prisoners. Inside a secured bunker beneath the Rockies, alien soldiers sat in cages. They hissed and spat, their glowing eyes filled with hatred. They expected torture, pain, or death. That was how the Empire treated its enemies, but the humans surprised them. Instead of knives, they brought food. Instead of chains, they gave blankets. Doctors walked among the cages, treating burns, cleaning wounds. One alien warrior growled, "Why help us? We would never help you." A human medic looked at him and answered softly, "Because we are not you." The aliens did not understand. On their worlds, mercy was weakness. Kindness was foolish. But here, in the ruins of Earth, the weak treated their enemies better than the Empire ever treated its slaves. And that was the first sign that humanity was not only fighting for survival, they were fighting for something greater. In a command chamber deep below, the leaders of Earth debated. Some wanted to kill the prisoners. "They will only return to kill us again," one general said. Others demanded interrogation. "They may hold secrets we need," whispered an intelligence officer. But Commander Reyes, who had led the first victory, stood in silence. Finally, he said, "The Empire thinks they decide our fate, but they don't. We do." His words silenced the room. It was not just about strategy anymore, it was about identity. About what kind of people humans would be when the galaxy was watching. On the surface, rumors spread quickly. Humans spared. The prisoners, survivors whispered in the streets. Some cheered, proud that even in war they held on to their humanity. Others cursed, saying mercy would doom them. But one thing was certain, Earth was choosing its own path. Meanwhile, among the alien prisoners, doubt began to grow. A soldier who had sworn loyalty to the Empire watched as a human boy gave him bread through the bars. The boy's hands shook, his eyes wide with fear, but he still gave food. The soldier took it, confused. He thought of his own world, where kindness was punished, and for the first time he wondered, what if the Empire was wrong about these humans? In orbit, the Empire's high command seethed with rage. They could not believe humans had captured their soldiers. They demanded execution. They demanded terror. They wanted to see Earth drown in fire for daring to show mercy. But their voices did not reach Earth's heart, because humanity was making a choice of its own. In refugee camps across the planet, survivors debated what it meant. One old woman in Africa said, "Mercy is our weapon. It makes us stronger." A young man in Bayandan, Brazil shouted, "No, mercy will kill us. They will never show it back." But when a soldier nearby answered, "We fight to win, but we do not need to become monsters to do it," the crowd fell silent, because deep inside, they knew he was right. Humanity's Choice was not simple. It was not just mercy or vengeance, it was the decision to fight as humans, not as copies of the Empire. To use cunning, strength, and fire, but not to lose the soul that made them different. Late one night, Commander Reyes walked through the prison cells. He stopped in front of a captured officer, taller and stronger than the others. The alien glared at him, eyes burning. "Why have you not killed us?" the alien demanded. Reyes looked back with calm steel. "Because we are deciding your fate, not you deciding ours," he said. The alien was silent. Those words echoed in his mind, sharper than any blade. Elsewhere, Earth scientists studied the captured warship. Its engines, its weapons, its data. Every piece of alien technology became a new tool. Every secret stolen became another weapon for tomorrow. And the aliens realized something horrifying. Every time humans captured instead of destroyed, they grew stronger. News of Earth's mercy spread through hidden channels across the galaxy. Other enslaved species heard whispers. The humans fight the Empire. They even spare their enemies. It was a strange story, but it lit sparks in dark places for the first time. Slaves of the Empire dared to dream. If these humans could fight back, maybe they could too. The Empire did not yet see it. But the choice humanity made that day was more dangerous than any weapon. Because mercy was not weakness. Mercy was power. It showed the galaxy that Earth was not just surviving. Earth was leading. The broken cities still smoked. The sky was still scarred. But beneath that destruction, a new future was being built. Not of chains and cruelty, but of defiance and dignity. The Empire believed they ruled by fear, but humanity was proving that courage, mercy, and unity were stronger than fear. And so the humans chose. They chose not to become like their enemies. They chose to fight in their own way. They chose to decide not only their fate, but the fate of all who lived under the shadow of the Empire. The galaxy was watching, and humanity had just given it hope. The Empire had ruled the stars for centuries. Worlds had bowed, species had broken, rebellions had died in silence. But now whispers began to spread across the galaxy. Whispers of Earth. Whispers of humans who had fought back and won. In the slave mines of distant moons, workers passed the Storian secret. They destroyed an Empire fleet, one whispered. They even spared the prisoners. Another said. The guards beat them for speaking, but it was too late. Hope had already taken root. On Earth, every day was still filled with fire. Cities still smoked, skies still burned. But something was different now. Humans no longer ran only in fear. They fought. They planned. They resisted. For every building destroyed, a new trap was built. For every soldier lost, another rose from the ashes. The Empire tried harder. They sent more fleets, more troops, more terror. They burned forests, poisoned rivers, bombed shelters. But the harder they struck, the stronger humans became. In Africa, rebel bands grew into armies. In Europe, ruined cities became fortresses. In Asia, whole nations coordinated secret networks. Humanity was no longer just surviving. They were uniting in one battle over the Pacific. An Empire carrier descended to crush resistance. But human submarines, old and forgotten, rose from the depths. They carried strange weapons, built from scavenged alien parts. They fired. And for the first time, an Empire carrier sank into the ocean. The seas boiled, the waves rose, but the victory echoed louder than thunder. People cheered in ruined villages when the news reached them. Earth fights back. They cried. The galaxy listened. On a world of chains, alien slaves dared to strike their overseers. On a world of silence, rebels raised banners painted with Earth's blue and green. The Empire felt tremors it had never felt before. The humans were not just defending Earth, they were inspiring a storm across the stars. In orbit above Earth, the Empire commanders argued. This war is dragging too long, one snarled. They are only humans, they should be crushed already. But another older commander shook his head. They fight differently, they adapt faster than we can strike. They do not fear death the way others do. The room fell silent. because deep inside they all knew he was right. On Earth, Commander Reyes stood with his fleet in a hidden base. The captured alien ship had been studied. Its engines were now powering new human fighters. Its weapons were copied, modified, sharpened into something new. Reyes looked at his pilots and said, "The Empire calls us primitives, but tell me, who is primitive, the one who copies or the one who adapts?" The pilots roared with laughter, their voices filled with fire. They knew the truth. The galaxy had underestimated Earth, and Earth would make them regret it. In the ruins of Chicago, resistance fighters lured alien patrols into empty skyscrapers. Explosives planted in stairwells collapsed the buildings on top of them. In the jungles of South America, rebels vanished into trees, striking from shadows. In the frozen north, hunters turned their lands into killing fields. Every environment became a weapon. Every human became a fighter. The Empire kept calling them savages. But in the eyes of the galaxy, humans were becoming legends. Not because they were the strongest, not because they had the most ships, but because they refused to bow. And that refusal was spreading like wildfire. One alien prisoner, now held for weeks, whispered to a human guard, "You do not understand what you are doing." The guard frowned. "What do you mean?" The prisoner hissed. "By fighting like this, by showing mercy, by refusing to die, you are teaching others to rise." The human smiled. "Good," he said simply. The prisoner fell silent, his fear growing, because he knew the galaxy was watching. Soon, rebellions flared across the stars, small, scattered at first but growing, and each time they rose they shouted one name: Earth. Back on Earth, the tide turned further. The humans launched a coordinated strike in orbit. Dozens of small fighters rose from hidden bases. They targeted supply lines, cutting off food and fuel from the Empire fleet. Starving soldiers cannot fight forever, and the Empire began to crumble piece by piece. When news reached the galaxy that Earth had destroyed another armada, even the proudest alien races gasped. "The humans are winning," they whispered. The words were impossible, unthinkable, but undeniable. The Empire had started this war to make an example of Earth, but Earth had turned it into an example for the galaxy. An example of courage, of unity, of defiance. The tide was turning, and once it turned, there would be no stopping it. On a cold night, in a ruined city lit only by fire, a little girl looked up at her father. "Daddy, are we really winning?" she asked. "Daddy, are we really winning?" she asked. The man hugged her, his eyes tired but shining. "Not yet," he whispered. But soon. The Empire's days of dominance were ending. The galaxy could feel it, and the humans knew it. For the first time in centuries, the tide of war was moving not in the Empire's favor, but in humanity's. And with every victory, every whisper of rebellion, the future began to change. The war had burned across Earth for months. Cities were scars on the land, oceans filled with wreckage, skies black with smoke. But humanity still stood, and now the final battle was coming. The Empire had gathered its greatest fleet near Jupiter, hundreds of warships, the pride of 1,000 conquered worlds. They came to crush Earth in one final strike. They came to remind the galaxy who ruled the stars. But humanity was ready. From hidden bases, from secret hangars, from underground tunnels, Earth's fleets rose. Old ships patched with stolen alien tech, new fighters born from scavenged engines, drones guided by human hands, and warships built, not in pride but in desperation. The humans had no illusions, they were outnumbered, but they carried something heavier than numbers. Resolve. Commander Reyes stood on the bridge of the lead ship. His scarred hands gripped the console, his voice rang out, steady and hard. "Today, we decide not only our fate, but theirs." The crew answered with fire in their eyes. They knew this was the battle that would echo through history. The fleets met near Jupiter. The planet loomed behind them like a red giant, storms raging across its surface. The Empire's ships shone, like blades, perfect and polished. The human fleet looked battered, scarred, uneven. But when the first shots were fired, it was the Empire that faltered. Human fighters darted through the chaos, weaving between massive enemy ships. They struck engines, cut supply lines, blinded sensors. Railguns roared, missiles screamed, the asteroids around Jupiter turned into weapons. Every rock became a shield, every orbit a trap. Humans fought like ghosts. Like wolves in the dark, the Empire fired blindly, frustrated. They had never faced an enemy that refused to fight by their rules. Still, the battle was brutal. Dozens of human ships fell, brave voices silenced. But each loss was met with fury, not fear. Every fallen pilot became a rallying cry. Every destroyed ship became a warning to the Empire that humanity would not stop. At the center of the battle, the Empire's flagship advanced, a titan of steel and fire. It fired a beam that ripped through 3 human ships at once, but Reyes gave the order. All ships, focus fire. Every human vessel turned. Railguns, missiles, drones, even damaged ships all struck the flagship at once. The giant trembled, shields failing. Then, with a roar that shook the stars, it exploded. The Empire's pride shattered. The galaxy watched. From distant worlds, slaves and rebels tuned into stolen broadcasts. They saw the impossible. Humans standing against gods. They saw the mighty Empire burning, and they began to believe, not just in Earth, but in freedom on the battlefield. The last enemy ships faltered. Some fled. Some fought to the death, but one by one they fell until silence filled the void. Human ships drifted among wreckage, scarred and broken, but victorious. When the smoke cleared, the question remained. What would humanity do now? Would they take vengeance? Would they slaughter the prisoners? Would they enslave the galaxy as the Empire had done? In a hall deep beneath Earth, leaders gathered. Generals demanded punishment. Politicians demanded justice. Survivors demanded peace. Voices clashed like thunder until Reyes stood and spoke. "We have the power to choose," he said. "We decide what comes next, not the Empire, not anyone else." And humanity chose. They did not take chains. They did not seek to rule through fear. They sent a message to the galaxy. The Empire is finished, you are free. On alien worlds, cheers erupted. Slaves tore down banners of the Empire. Children whispered the word humans with awe. For the first time in centuries, hope returned to the stars. But humanity's choice was not weakness, it was strength. Because mercy was not surrender. It was defiance. It was a promise that Earth would never become the monster it had fought. The galaxy trembled, not because of Earth's weapons, but because of Earth's will. The will to fight, to endure, to show mercy even when vengeance was easy. The will to decide their own fate. In the ruins of New York, survivors gathered. Children played among broken streets. An old man whispered, "We lived through the fire," a young woman answered, "and we chose what comes after." Tears and laughter filled the air, because they knew the war was over, and a new future had begun. The Empire had come to decide Earth's fate, but Earth had turned the tables. Earth had decided the fate of an empire, and more than that, humanity had decided the fate of the galaxy. The sky was still scarred, the land still burned, but in those scars, in those ashes, something new was born. A promise that no matter how dark the night, humanity would rise, and when they rose, the galaxy itself would follow.